Good evening, you are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The young Di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim has advised political leaders to work on bridging the religious, racial and cultural differences instead of adding to the division. His Majesty says recent events should open the eyes of all parties the responsibility they have to maintain the unity of the country.
The king said political leaders should avoid giving extreme views on religious and racial issues. He earlier granted an audience to several ruling political leaders at Istana Negara, namely UMNO Deputy President Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan, DAP leader Liu Chintong, and UMNO Youth Chief Dr. Muhammad Akmal Saleh. Dr. Akmal is currently under police investigation for sedition after calling for a boycott of convenience store chain KK Mart. This was after a handful of the socks in the store were found to have the word Allah on them, causing uproar among the Muslim community. Also recently, a viral video showed a man claiming that shoes he purchased from the company Vern displayed a logo resembling the word Allah. Both companies have since apologized and taken further action. The king reminded everyone that ahead of Eid al-Fitr, all parties should seek forgiveness with one another and open a new chapter.
Online platform providers TikTok and Meta have been urged to step up their monitoring efforts following a rise in harmful content online. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil has also asked them to address content related to race, religion and royalty in line with platform guidelines and Malaysian laws.
In a statement, Fahmi said both platform providers were called to curb coordinated inauthentic behaviour and to take immediate action against harmful content such as scams and online gambling. This followed a meeting with TikTok and Meta at the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission headquarters yesterday. Fahmi said among the issues discussed were improvements in online safety, including the implementation of a minimum age verification of 13 years to access social media platforms. There was also a review of the effectiveness of algorithms using artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities to detect harmful content. Fahmi said that in the first 3 months of 2024 alone, a total of 51,638 cases were referred to online platform providers for further action.
Amendments to the Malaysian Aviation Consumer Protection Code 2016 for the gazettement of carbon levy will be submitted by the end of this month. The Malaysian Aviation Commission MACOM says it has also completed the public consultation for feedback on the implementation of carbon levies for air travel. Speaking to Bernama, the agency said the public consultation is to ensure that there are adequate consumer protection measures in place, even if carbon or other charges are imposed. Earlier, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the carbon levy could be imposed on airlines once MACOM makes the necessary amendments on consumer protection before airlines can collect the levy. However, Putrajaya is making the levy optional for both local and international airlines flying in and out of Kuala Lumpur. The levy is an international obligation for all airlines to contribute to the carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation, with countries such as Denmark, Sweden, South Africa and the Netherlands already on board. The number of COVID-19 cases have dropped sharply for the week between March 31st to April 6th, just ahead of Eid al-Fitr celebrations. According to Health Director General Datuk Dr. Muhammad Razi Abu Hassan, the total number of COVID-19 cases reported during this 14th epidemiological week saw a 97.1% drop when compared to the first week. COVID-19 cases for the period stood at 493 compared to 17,256 cases in the first epidemiological week. The number of deaths in COVID-19 cases also showed a significant decrease from 32 cases in the first week to 1 case in the 14th week, more than 95% decrease. Despite the COVID-19 situation improving, Muhammad Razi reminded the public to be vigilant, especially during festive season, as many visits in closed-door settings will take place. The government must ensure that preschool education is available to all children in the country before considering making preschool education compulsory. Dr. Lydia Fong from Taylor's University discusses how to ensure quality preschool education is accessible to all.
Yes, it is important to make preschool accessible, compulsory for children, because it is indisputable based on the research findings and based on the social and economic factors helping parents to get to work. And we experienced that a lot during COVID, when children were not taken care of. It is difficult for mothers and fathers to go to work. So of course, we need to meet the SDG goals to ensure that children, boys and girls, get equitable quality education. So all these point to the fact that, we need to make preschool accessible. But to make it compulsory, our ecosystem has to be ready for it. So quality is very important. It is the key to good early child education and good benefits for the children when they attend preschool. So it's not so much about the quantity, how many preschools we have. So the quality is very important. So it points back, it points to the fact that do we have enough resources? Do we have enough preschool environment that is conducive? Do we have enough teachers? So these are the points to be considered. Yeah.
Dr. Lydia suggests targeted solutions and more funding, especially to areas where resources are scarce.
Some government preschools are free, but it may not be in the areas where the needs are. So right now, the Kermas and Perpaduan kindergartens are more in the rural areas and the urban poor. So, but still there are places that they can't reach. And obviously, those places can't be reached by the private sector too. So they need targeted solutions for those areas, like the Orang Asli community. How are they going to reach there? So if there are places that the public or the private can't invest, is there any way that they can work with, like NGOs or other, other providers that are willing to go in, but they need to be funded. Right now, the incentive is allocated for the B40s only. So there are also other parents that may want to send their children. They are not under the B40 category, but they just couldn't afford to send to the surrounding areas. So these are the kind of considerations for funds allocation that is quite important for the government to consider as well.
Dr. Lydia also discusses ways on how the quality of services in preschools can be streamlined throughout the country.
So right now, what is not standardized really are the services. I wouldn't say standardized. I prefer to use the word harmonize, because the different government agencies running the preschools, each department, each agency has their own dedicated departments for the same functions like school management, operations, curriculum development, training, quality assurance. So the government has invested in a lot of resources in this. So these are the areas that they can look at how they can allocate the fundings according to the needs, and if they can be better coordinated. The other thing is that the private sector is also registered with the Private Education Division under MOE. So private sector also has its own set of challenges, like difficulty to, due to the rising costs, the threats of closing down, the licensing issues, they need to run to different departments to get their license, the lack of qualified teachers. So there needs to be a way for them to run more efficiently and more cost effectively.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more. On to developments in Gaza. Hopes were raised that a breakthrough might be on the horizon after Israel withdrew most of its troops from southern Gaza. But those hopes seem to have fizzled out after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared a date for ground offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, where some 1.5 million Palestinians are sheltering. Netanyahu, however, did not give a date for the ground offensive. Israel's decision comes as its main ally, the United States, reiterates its opposition to a full-scale ground invasion. Separately, Hamas said it had rejected the latest ceasefire proposal received through Egyptian, Qatari and American mediators. While Hamas said it appreciated the effort, the group said Israel remains stubborn and has not responded to any of the group's demands. But Hamas said it was keen to reach an agreement that will end the aggression against its people.
Turkey announces it will impose export restrictions on Israel until a ceasefire is declared in Gaza. The Turkish Trade Ministry said the measures, which take effect immediately, cover the export of products in 54 different categories. They include iron and steel products, construction equipment, machinery and more. Ankara's announcement comes after Israel on Monday rejected Turkey's request to take part in airdrops of humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza.
The trial of 27 people charged in connection with the Panama Papers scandal has begun 8 years after the revelations first emerged. The defendants include Jürgen Mossack and Ramon Fonseca Mora, who founded a Panama-based law firm that was at the heart of the 2016 document leak.
Mossack Fonseca and other former employees of the law firm have been charged with money laundering, but deny they were involved in any illegal activity. In 2017, the firm said it was the victim of a computer hack and that the leaked information was misrepresented. The leak, which included a collection of 11 million financial documents, implicated more than 100 politicians, billionaires and sports stars. Former Icelandic Prime Minister Sigmundur Gunnlaugsson and Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif were among those forced to step down from their posts. It also highlighted how Panama and the British Virgin Islands served as tax havens for the rich and powerful to allegedly hide their wealth and evade taxes.
Global temperatures soared to unprecedented levels in March 2024, marking the hottest month on record and continuing a run of 10 consecutive monthly temperature records. The European Union's climate agency reports that both atmospheric and oceanic temperatures reached historic highs with a global average of 14.14 degrees Celsius.
Last month was 0.1 degrees Celsius warmer than the previous March and 1.68 degrees Celsius warmer than the average March in the pre-industrial era. Above average temperatures were recorded in parts of Africa, South America, Antarctica and Greenland. The world has broken heat records every month since June last year. Temperatures are expected to fall when the El Niño weather pattern ends, but some scientists fear this may not happen because of continued greenhouse gas emissions. They say that failure to reduce fossil fuel emissions would lead to further global warming, droughts, fires, heat waves and floods.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.